Hello again, it's Garson, and today I'm using my new mod, the Blood Sorcerer, which is pretty cool. And it's got this cool cantrip, but it says right here, look at this, it says advantage against bleeding targets. So we're going to talk about the bleeding condition. So without further ado, let me go ahead and guarantee I get some bloody action here. Okay, ready? Yeah. I got my buddy, Lae'zel. She's a tiger, tiger heart, barbarian, meow. Now check this out, there is a consistent, reliable, guaranteed way to land bleed like this, alright? So this guy's bleeding and he's poisoned, so really, and that guy's dead too. And I can just like add this in or action surge right now, but check this out, this is what's cool about this mod, for a simple like subclass for sorcerers. Look, I get this cool cantrip, and it gets advantage on hit if the target's bleeding, and it's kind of cool. It's like Vampiric Touch. It'll heal me when I hit them. I get a little 11 HP right there. So, look at that little teamwork, that combo teamwork, right? There's also, I've been thinking about doing a Poisoner set, or maybe using I Love Insect Swarm, or now we just watched Blindness and we saw this is a really powerful spell if you can use the Constitution saving throw. And that's what we're here to talk about, is the bleed effect combos really well with that stuff, right? So let's dive right into it. This actually comes as a request, so we're going to talk about bloody fun with the bleeding condition. And as always, I thank you for watching. If you want to support the channel, or you got a request or a question or whatnot, let's leave it to the end. This actually comes from a super chat last night from one of my viewers. We were talking in the chat, he dropped a super chat and he said, hey, this one's directly for you. I'm trying to get Blood Sorcerer mod working, and the synergy with the bleeding condition. If you don't use mods, just ignore me. Well, I'm not going to ignore you, and I like playing around with the mods too, but even in the vanilla game, this is a really interesting effect, and it's cool to know there's a reliable way to activate this. So pay attention, Zach. Ready? All right, here we go. So let's just talk about it. It's not going to be a long video. We're just going to talk about the bleeding condition, why you're going to use it, what's the reliable source, and how that build works to give us that condition on our team. Say we wanted to use blindness and combo it with bleeding, or bleeding allows us to land those poison spells and so on and so forth, right? So let's answer some of those questions. So the bleeding condition right here in game, if we go right here, seems that this cantrip also causes bleed, which is cool in and of itself, but it'd be nice to have an ally that could cause the bleed first, and then we get advantage to keep it rolling, right? So the condition is you take 2 damage at the start of each turn, and then the target is going to have disadvantage against those Constitution saving throws. And it can be removed by healing, but you don't really see that a lot on your enemies, especially if you just know how to make them bleed all the time. So like I said, it's 2 turns of slashing damage when they start their turn, but I think you even get the 2 damage when you cause the condition anyway. It does cause that devastating disadvantage, and what this means is typically on a spell, like look at blindness, it says Constitution saving throw. So the crash course here is you're going to line up your spell modifier. Your class has a spell save difficulty class, right? So whatever this number is what the opponent is going to have to roll against one of these stats, right? And if they don't roll high enough, they get the effect, or the spell goes off and they take damage. So their cheat sheet here is when you examine guys, just come on over here. See this bonus to Constitution, right? He has a +3, or +7 rather, to his Constitution rolls. So whatever he rolls on the D20, it gets added to this, and he can overcome my difficulty class that we saw earlier with Asterion, right? So if he can overcome this by rolling a 20, like whatever on the D20, and using this bonus here, he's going to ignore my blindness effect, which would be a whole waste of my spell slot, right? And we don't want that to happen. So this is the power of having this condition and knowing how to combo it. So yeah, it can be removed by heal, but you don't see that on enemies enough. But when you are bleeding, just know that you can just, you know, pop a little heal potion, good, it's gone, okay? So why would we want to use it? Well, I think I just made my case with the Constitution saving throw, but maybe it's in character. It's all about blood, and you got a blood sorcerer, okay? Or you're a vampire, or whatever. Alright, so I think in game though, this is the huge value here, because we've seen this is a powerful cantrip right here. We did a video about it not too long with the Poisoner robes, and this is one of the highest damaging cantrips, and beyond vulnerabilities and resistances and whatnot, just assume this is what you have to worry about. So if we can consistently land this is one of the most powerful cantrips in the game, and you can roll the poison effect into a condition and some other cool stuff with it, right? There is also really powerful, subtle or low-key powerful stuff like blindness, because if you had 3 targets, you can blind all 3 of them if they were bleeding pretty reliably, right? Okay, and then you have the blight spell. So a lot of necromancy spells have the constitution saving throw as well. So right now we're up to 70. We can actually bring it up to 91 with that disadvantage, okay? And then there's insect swarm, which is, I don't know that you need it, but like, if you had bleeding targets and this giant swarm of bugs, this is one of the best area spells because it combos into anything. Nothing really overrides it, and it's just there, and it does massive damage and creates a difficult terrain. So you can make that 10 times worse. All right. So again, with the modded class, there is the Blood Sorcerer. So their unique cantrip gets an advantage on their rolls. So right now it's 95, but there's always the chance of critically missing on a 1. So if I bring that up to advantage, right, I'll never miss because it's a 99% chance to hit. No critical ones for me, okay? There's also just extra damage. Does a little extra damage when they're bleeding, right? And there is the Bu'al's Blessing, which I guess I'll pull up right here for you. So, Bu'al's Blessing, and if you know about this in Act 1, there's a little event. You could sacrifice one of your allies permanently, be careful, but you now can apply the bleeding condition to your targets. I don't think this is for everybody when it comes to a reliable way to get bleeding, but maybe you want to look into this. I won't spoil it for you because it's pretty funny, but it also allows you to have advantage against bleeding targets too. So go look into that. It's a secret in Act 1. It's pretty funny to do at least once in your run, right? And then there are the weapons and the conditions. Are there reliable ways to cause it? So I'll put this on the screen because there's some weapons, including the spirit weapon from like clerics. You can summon a spirit weapon. Some of those have this ability called not rupture, but it's lacerate, right? So lacerate. And these are the weapons that you can find, including the spirit weapons that have it, right? So if we look on the screen right here, we have battle axes, hand axes, scimitars, and all sorts. They'll always have this cool little weapon effect or weapon attack. Halberd is what we're using, and so of course Lae'zel has this effect as well. So let me take this off the screen and I'll show you what move I'm talking about specifically here. Take that off. We'll go to Lae'zel. Lacerate. So again, on these weapon types, they usually have these cool short rest moves, and you can use this move and it's going to use your attack roll just like a normal attack would, right? And so if you can land the hit, okay, just like a normal hit, 90%, you may get the Constitution, Constitution saving throw, and that would cause the bleed. Now, isn't that a little counterintuitive? Because you're trying to get the disadvantage on Constitution throws, so you can cause things like this attack, but then you need to land not only an attack hit, but also the saving throw to get that condition that makes it easier. Okay. And the other thing about weapon attacks, as cool as they are, is they're on short rest. So that means you can't use them twice in one turn, let alone twice in one battle. So unless you have 100 lacerate weapons, it's not happening, okay? So there's got to be a more reliable way to get this off. And there's these spiked bulbs you can buy from, you can find them in the area. You can get them early on in the game with the Nautiloid, but you can actually buy these from Omelium. So of course these grenades right here, let me actually pull them up. So this does damage, and I'm pretty sure this is a guarantee when you land the spike bulb. So let's say you're Blood Sorcerer, okay? If you throw this at an area, you'll actually bleed everybody with this. Doesn't matter if it hits, I think, right? And maybe there's a saving throw, but as you can see, it causes the bleed condition. So that might be a pretty reliable source, but I haven't done enough testing with this, and even though you could buy these from like Omelium in the Underdark, they're not that reliable. Okay, so then what is the reliable way? Is it just a BS conditional, or can we do it more often than not? Well, we can do it almost every single attack because of Barbarian Tiger Heart. So Barbarians get a subclass at level 3. It's called Wild Heart. And usually you'll well, not usually, well, the whole gimmick with this is you'll choose an animal heart, and we'll choose tiger. So the tiger heart comes with a special move like they usually do, right? So I'll click on Lae'zel here, and you can see it. It's called Tiger's Bloodlust. Not to mention, when you choose your heart, Tiger Heart will give you an effect plus the ability to use that weapon on Enrage, right? So let's actually look into that real quick, and then we'll get into the build. Okay, so while you're in rage, you enable this ability, right? You go in rage, have to be in combat, and you only have so many charges per day, but that's okay. We've got enough. We're pretty much into Barbarian at level 9 here, right? Anyway, so what you actually get from this Tiger Heart is you get 15 increased jumping distance, which is kind of wild in and of itself. It's subtle how good this is, but of course, if you're in rage, you can't use it just yet. So we have 65 jump distance right now. It's insane. All right, but the real pleasure is that we now get this new attack, and you notice this doesn't say short rest. There's no Constitution saving throw. There's nothing. As long as you can land your hit, and as barbarians, you can land your hit thanks to reckless attack, right? If you can land your hit, you can do devastating damage to 3 targets. It's a cleave, right? But you don't have... I can hit that guy, I can hit everybody, okay? So we're going to reload this, but just so you can see it, we can cleave up to 3 targets, all right? And we get the bleed every time. So now he has the bleeding condition. It's going to be easier to poison him, blind him, all that stuff. And our sorcerer now has advantage on hit if we get away from this guy. Oops, and then he tripped and fall. So, I guess we're reloading. But before we do, let's just cleave again, because you don't have a resource you're spending. You can cleave as many times as you have attack. So in honor mode, typically means you can cleave twice, and then however many actions you have, right? So this is stupidly powerful, okay? And it always guarantees that. So when we rage, we can get increased jump distance after the first turn there, right? Which is kind of crazy. We can always get to our targets with the jump, okay, with our bonus action. And then we can use Tiger's Bloodlust. It's a weapon action, which means it does work with the martial extra attacks. On Tactician and lower, this means every time you got an action, you can do 2 of these cleaves. 2 actions, 4 cleaves. 3 actions, 6 cleaves, right? But it will have your weapon damage, okay? So just keep in mind with the details here. It's going to have things like your bonus from your strength, your bonus from Great Weapon Master, and so on and so forth. But it doesn't have anything else you add into it like poison, lightning, fire, and the sorts. So this is really powerful considering it cleaves up to 3 enemies and it makes them bleed, guaranteed, as long as you land that attack roll. Okay, so let's actually get into build time and we'll end this, okay? There's not too much to go over this. I'm not going to explain every aspect of it, but this is our Poison Tiger Barbarian. We take 9 levels of Wild Heart, and then we'll go Fighter. And Fighter Champion gives us some bonuses. Obviously, we get Action Surge. A really big deal, since we're using a great weapon, is we have the great weapon fighting style. So two-handers are less likely to hit 1s and 2s on the damage roll. Okay, which is important because if you notice, I'm using a damage roll of 1d10. That's very wildly different. It could be a difference between 1 damage and 10 damage is wildly all over the place. So that fighting style really helps out, okay? Also, we get Action Surge at level 2, and then level 3 we go Champion Fighter, because Champion Fighter lowers our ability, or our chances, it increases our chances to hit by lowering the number to crit. If you hit a d20 at 20, you crit. You automatically hit, and you get double that dice damage, so that 1d10 becomes a 2d10, okay? Now, this lowers it to 19, so you only need to roll a 19 or higher. Okay, and with this bow, we only need to roll an 18 or higher. So you might as well increase your chances to crit for what we can do. That's all I was going for with that champion build. Since we're already getting all those cool benefits from fighter, you might as well take it up to 3, take champion, and go for those crits a little bit, okay? Now, the other thing about being a barbarian is at level 8 or 9, I forget which one, you get brutal critical. So remember how I said the critical hits increase that dice damage, right? You get double the dice damage. So all dice damage on crits double up, so that's a 2d10. But with brutal critical, you add even more dice, just another dice. So that's a 3d10 on crits. And this is why we choose Hellbeard Halberd, but I'll get into that, all right? So 10 strength, if we dump this stat and use the elixir of Cloud Giant strength, we can invest those points somewhere else for added benefit. Little min-maxing, all right? Not to get all nerdy on you. But yeah, if we're going to use an elixir to max out our strength to 27, something absurd like that, then use the stat points elsewhere. Dexterity, if we're not wearing some armor, we can get some armor class from our dexterity bonus, and we even get some initiative, okay? And if we want, we can use a bow, but that's not that important when you can jump 65 feet. Okay, then you have your Constitution. Barbarians, if you didn't know, at level 1, they'll take this bonus of Constitution. So not only are they getting HP from Constitution, but they're getting +5 now from their Constitution as armor class. It doesn't stack with things like the monk version or mage armor, but hell, you don't have to cast it, and it's just more armor class if you're running things like the enraging heart garb, okay? And then wisdom, because I'm going to take a feat that raises 2 stats. I'm already at 17, so I only need to take it to 18. I might as well just min-max a little bit and get some wisdom there. Okay, so what are the feats? Well, you can take the Great Weapon Master. This gives you 10 flat damage on weapons, on two-handed attacks, right? But it'll lower your accuracy. Why doesn't that matter? Why can we do it early? Because we have Reckless Attack, which can always force advantage, but then we take disadvantage when getting hit, okay? So it's a trade-off. It's a reckless move, you know, but we can really amp up our power early on with this. And later on, let's get some extra Constitution. It'll bring us to 18, and the chest piece will bring us up to 20. That's more HP, and that's more armor class as a Barbarian, okay? And then we're getting 1 extra stat. Well, we'll take Wisdom and make it 12, so we have a little more on the saving throw against things like Hold Person, which is pretty dangerous, okay? Alright, so anyway. Now, what about that gear? So you can choose whatever you want. I chose this because it had poison innately on it, and this is an Act 3 weapon you can buy, so you can always find this thing. But let's just talk about this one more time. So it's a two-hander. We need that for Great Weapon Master. And two-handers, or if you have a weapon that can go two-handers, they're going to use a difference of like dice. You got to pay attention to this. So great swords actually use a potential of 12, because 2 times 6 is max damage, 12. And that could look really similar to a great axe, which is 1d12. But the reason you don't go 2d6 on a greatsword and you take a great axe or a halberd is because, again, when we critical hit, this is more devastating on average when you get 2d10 or 3d10 rather than critting a 4d6 or whatnot, okay? Or the additional dice from brutal critical would be only 5d6 as opposed to 3d10 or 3d12 with great axes, okay? So just something to know. If you don't believe me, then do the math or just ignore this point. But halberds also have additional reach. This one comes with poison. It's what I want to use with the poisoner effect, so let's look at that. This is a typical set of the Broodmother's Amulet, the Poisoner Gloves, and the Derivation Cloak. This is going to add magical poison damage to your weapons, okay? But you got to heal to get this activated. Once you have poison on your weapon, you can use these Poisoner Gloves, and if you hit someone with poison damage, there's a potential Constitution saving throw that could poison them, right? And we want to bleed them. Okay, but if we poison them from this, the condition, then we actually get a heal. Oh, we healed from poisoning somebody, we actually triggered this, and now we keep this going. So before you get a ring of regeneration that always heals you, and instead of just popping potions all the time, you can have this awesome set that applies a condition of poison and heals you and keeps your damage high and all that stuff, okay? And just rotates into itself. So that's actually really powerful, especially with that cleave attack. Hitting 3 targets and potentially bleeding and poisoning and adding damage is crazy. And then there's the Enraged Cloth. It just gives us Constitution. It is cloth, so if we have no armor on, we get our bonus. So more HP, more Constitution, and there's the little Rage bonus, but it's not that great. Alright. Anyway, let's get into it. I'm just going to cleave things with Lae'zel. Enjoy the show. I'm actually going to put the notes away, and we're going to look at the numbers together. Alright, check this out. Let's get into some trouble. Bonk. Now remember, in order to rage, which is what you need to use the attack, you got to get into combat. And then you can use your bonus action. Meow. Okay. And just be careful to friendlies nearby, because you do hit 3 targets. But we always get that bleed, right? He's bleeding right now. Wait. Did I use the wrong attack? Hey, what the heck is... Hold on. Let me get... Well, he's dead now, so... Just hit him. Oh. He's dead. Alright. You come over here. Alright. I'm gonna hit him with... No. Hold on. Not just yet. Oh, you got me. Oh, no. Alright, so like I said, I hit you. Now you're bleeding, and I even got the poison effect off. And if you're bleeding, that means I can get advantage on this. Hope you're paying attention, Zach. This is for you. But even more importantly, we could do something like Blight and really pop this guy. 48 damage, almost guaranteed that would land. And oh, since we're raging and we have that ridiculous jump, look at this. Yeah. So that huge strength and that additional jumping distance is pretty crazy. So once again, this guy's gonna come over here. Alright, I'm gonna cleave him. Ooh, he's bleeding again. But honestly, you could just cleave him again. He'll probably almost die from this. Look at that damage. Oh my gosh. And of course, your blood sorcerer can now guarantee hit. Pop. Alright. So, we could do a lot more damage with this build. But, to be fair, we're at level 12. It kind of gets crazy, like having this Hellbeard axe and all that stuff. But that's going to do it. Let me pop the notes out real quick again. Look at them numbers. Alright, so how do you actually play a build like this and level it up and all whatnot? Well, I actually haven't done this set. I'm really interested myself because I want to use a sorcerer. Maybe this blood sorcerer is actually kind of cool. Better than I thought it was going to be. But maybe I want to use poison spray or blindness or whatnot, or blight, necromancy spells, right? So I want to team it up with my tiger Barbarian, right? So I might actually play it in a build, so come watch the live streams. This is what happens. You guys give me cool ideas, or we research something. I learn a thing from you, you learn something from me, but we see it in honor mode because I think honor mode is the best mode in the game. I think it's for everybody. It's intimidating at first, but honestly, once you understand cool mechanics like this, you can build really badass characters, and when you beat honor mode, it's a lot of fun. It's really satisfying, and then you want to play again, right? So I also like answering comments or doing requests like this, or just in the live chat. So come on to the live stream. We'll see you there because you guys are my sponsors. I appreciate you watching. I hope you had some fun with it. And if you want to support the channel, it's just as low as it's going to get on YouTube. That's what I do for you guys. But the best support is always just enjoying the video. So I'll check you out in the stream or see you in the next video. Till then, take it easy.